If you do the math, the Federal Reserve has printed 90 million tons of gold. There's not enough gold in the solar system. Fort Knox has 8,300 tons. We've written notes for 90 million, and that's just America. All the other countries are just as indebted too. Everyone's absolutely just drowning in debt, and every country's guilty. Every central bank is guilty, and the only way that people can escape from this is to return to gold and especially silver.
Welcome, Phil. Thank you so much for joining me today. We'll be talking about very important issues, very current, regarding all the turmoil that's going on around the world. Coming from the US, maybe mainly, you will tell us what your opinion and analysis is. Thank you so much for finding the time to do this. And so you're a great educator. You have a great expertise in economic issues and monetary issues. So can you tell us a bit about yourself and also where you got your expertise? Are you like a trained economist, or did you learn did you get your knowledge in economics more from unofficial channels, let's say?
Sure. So I am trained. I went to George Mason University, which is an Austrian school economics program. I don't know if you know of them, but they are very liberty oriented. They're very small government, return to a gold standard, and everyone should mind their own business and tend their own gardens. And the world would be a better place if we all do that. Now, when I got my degree, I sort of put that degree in my pocket and I went and did other things. This is nice, but I live in the world I live in. We don't live in libertarian utopia, everyone minding their own business. We live in American imperial expansionist policy. So I said, well, all this stuff is wonderful, but I have to go get a job and I have to feed my family, all that stuff. So I put that in my pocket and I went and I lived the rest of my life and got married, had children, all that stuff. And then COVID happened. And what scared me more than the disease itself and more than the reaction to the disease was the money print. If you saw M2, it just went bloop, and they started printing, infinite amounts of money. And I turned to my wife and I said, look, all this stuff from my past about, money in the streets and complete chaos and people, trying to find enough food to eat and all the stuff I learned in school about a crash went into my mind. And I turned to my wife. I said, something is wrong. We have to do something. But I didn't know what. Even with my degree, I didn't quite know what. So I said, well, let me see if anyone else knows. So I started looking online and I discovered a gentleman by Rafi Farber. I don't know if you've seen his videos or not, but he was explaining that gold is money. And then it was like, I tell you, it was like, if you have a puzzle that's 98% done, you have this puzzle that's 98% done, but you can't tell what it is. And then the last piece is put in, you go, oh, That's what it is. And I said, oh, it's that gold is money. And then I had, oh no, oh, this is bad. So I said, I realize we're heading towards this big sort of imperial collapse, chaos. There's no stopping it. But the more spread out the money is, and when I say money, I mean gold and silver. So the more dispersed the money is, the more individual people have a little bit of gold and silver. Because if just a few bankers have all the gold and silver, it's much worse. If everyone in the world has a little bit of gold and silver, we're still going to have a crash. We're still going to have chaos, but it will be much, much, infinitely better than the other scenario. So I said the best way to I'm only one man. The only thing I can do is tell people what I think and let the chips fall where they may. I have no power, and I don't want power over other people. I'm something of an anarchist, actually. So I don't want power over the people. I don't want control over the people. I'll just tell people what I think the solution is. And if anyone wants to listen to me and I can help them, that's great. And if they don't, then that's fine too. So that's sort of my quick rundown of what exactly I am doing. I am advocating for sound money. I think sound money is the pinnacle. It's the lodestone. It's the most important thing that we're missing. And when we return to sound money, the empires will collapse, and we can live in a more peaceful world.
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. And we'll get into more details regarding that. So people, so this knowledge about gold and silver being the actual forms of money. This is more esoteric knowledge, right? If I may say, because even in economics curricula in different universities, they don't teach you that. So it's like the system has been intentionally designed so that people don't have this knowledge, don't have their eyes open to this knowledge. So do you think it was somewhat intentional, because it allowed maybe some people to trick or scam at a massive scale, maybe at a unique scale in history, everybody around the world, really? So what do you think?
So do I think there's this cabal of secret bankers that understand money truly, and they're just sort of like puppet masters controlling the system? No, I don't think that's what's happening. What I think happened is that people didn't the way the banking works. Let's go back to a gold standard bank, right? So we're back on the gold standard, and gold is money, and the paper is just a note for gold. When I go to a bank and I deposit the gold in, the bank will protect that money for me, right? That's what a bank fundamentally does. The other thing a bank will do is loan. They'll find people that want to borrow money and people that want to lend money, and they connect them. The problem is that doesn't always work. That second function doesn't work all the time. So, someone wants to borrow money to buy a house. The banker connects the lender, and the money goes out to the borrower, but then the borrower loses his job or moves away or dies, whatever. And that loan cannot be repaid. So the banker sitting there, oh my God, I lost their money. What can I do? The honest thing to do is to go to the lender and say, look, you signed a contract. This was you assumed the risks. This was a time deposit. It didn't quite work out, and we're sorry, but this loan went bad. However, you assume the risk. But the banker sits there like, oh my God, if I do this, the town's gonna hate me. This little old lady trusted me with her life savings and I lost it. What do I do? And this big pile of gold is sitting right there, the demand deposits, right? He says, I'll just, the people with demand deposits, they're not all going to come in at the same time. So I'll take a little bit of this gold. I'll pay the old widow, and everything. I'll find the money later. I'll find the missing money later. The problem is, once you've done that, you have guaranteed a bank run, mathematically guaranteed, because now you have two claims on the money. One person's at home sleeping, thinking, my money is safe in the bank. But you've taken that money and you've given it to somebody else. And now there's $2 for 1 unit of gold. And some point, somewhere, someone is going to walk into a bank. They're going to put their paper down on the table, say, I would like the actual gold. And the banker is going to say, oh, we don't have it. Sorry. And then the bank run starts. Then you close the window. And this was happening in the early 1900s quite a bit. So what did the bankers decide to do? They said, well, let's make a central bank. And if we make a central bank, then that bank can manage all the individual banks and we'll make sure. But did they stop the theft? No, they did not. They just paper over. It's an emergency paper over, and they said, oh, this will work. And what did you get? You got 1929, right? So they printed way more notes than they ever had before. And so now people were coming back saying, I have my notes, I want my gold. So what was the solution then, Mehdi? What was the solution they came up with? We'll take all the gold and we'll put it into Fort Knox, and we won't let anyone get their gold out. And now there won't be any more bank runs. So the problem is a note, if you think of a dollar as the paper note, if you think of that as a note for gold, it's like a coupon for a free chicken sandwich. If you have a coupon for a free chicken sandwich at a restaurant, and you go to the restaurant and the restaurant's closed, that coupon's worthless. Same thing with this note. This note should be worthless because you can't get gold out of it anymore, right? You're supposed to be able to go to a bank and say, I want my gold. Why wasn't it worthless, Mehdi? Because of debt. Because people still owed debt in those units of currency, right? So even though they closed the gold window, I still had, this is 1933, so I still had a $15,000 mortgage on my house, right? I have to come up with $15,000. I have to come up with these coupons. So I need to find those dollars, and that creates a demand for the paper note, even though it has no backing, even though you can't convert it into gold. The problem is, here's the thing about debt. All debt is eventually either defaulted on or paid off. So that once the debt's gone, then people are holding the paper. You're in Lebanon, right?
No, in Tunisia.
Oh, okay.
But I'm familiar with the situation in Lebanon.
Okay. When there's no debt, or there's too many notes for the debt, then people sit there holding the notes and they say, what are these good for? I thought my debts are paid. I don't have any more debt, but I can go buy things. But the prices basically go to the moon. If there's no debt, the increasing debt is what's suppressing, it keeps the demand for the dollars alive and suppresses the prices enough that this scheme can go. However, this is a Ponzi scheme. The debt must grow at an exponential rate. It's not a flat line. It must do this. And eventually, once it hits the vertical, the currency collapses. It's happening in Lebanon right now. It's happening in Turkey right now. It's going to happen to America. When the dollar blows, every other currency that's currently backing the dollar, or that currently uses the dollar as their backing, is going to blow as well. So this is going to be a global hyperinflation event, and the holders of gold and silver on the other side are going to be the ones to rebuild it. So does that answer how we got here? Yeah, that pretty much answers how we got here. And when things went wrong is really about pretty much 1913. Things have gotten worse since then. It's a degree of how wrong things got. But the beginning really is 1913, or even 1873, when we went from a silver and gold standard just to a gold standard, because gold is the money of businesses, banks, governments, and the wealthy, and silver is the people's money. So everyone, it's hard for a working man working at a kebab stand or working at a carpenter shop or whatever. It's hard for him to save in gold because he takes a lot of gold, or it takes a lot of units to, paper units to get actual gold. But any working slob can get a little bit of silver and put it in a drawer somewhere, right? So silver has always been the people's money, and that's why bankers don't like silver, because they want you to use their notes for gold, and then they keep this gold itself locked away.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but gold and silver have been used for thousands of years as money, right?
And copper as well.
And copper too, yeah, exactly. And the scam began from the moment some people, the elites, basically the government or the king or whatever, decided to substitute these real forms of money, which are gold, silver, and copper at some point, with their own money, those notes, right? Which are promises, really. They are promises that to give you back a certain quantity of gold or silver if you redeem those notes. But this isn't what happened immediately, like you said, because of this debt problem, which is fueled by greed, probably, right? What do you think? Where does this obsession with debt, addiction really to debt, right?
Yeah, it's greed and fear, because if they ever stop, all the banks go out of business in a day. You have bank runs, you have chaos on the street. So there's fear. There's legitimate fear for that. If you think about what the dollar right now, what the dollar is $42 is supposed to equal 1 ounce of gold. So that's what it is on the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve. 42 Federal Reserve notes equals 1 ounce of gold. If you do the math, the Federal Reserve has printed 90 million tons of gold. There's not enough gold in the solar system. Fort Knox has 8,300 tons. We've written notes for 90 million, and that's just America. All the other countries are just as indebted too. Everyone's absolutely just drowning in debt, and every country's guilty. Every central bank is guilty. And the only way that people can escape from this is to return to gold and especially silver.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned earlier 1913. So that was the year when the Federal Reserve, the U.S. central bank, was created. And actually, I know that the debt, the U.S. debt, public debt, has exploded starting from 1913, right? Otherwise, before that, it was very, very small, right?
Yes, yeah, and we were a very conservative, small government, responsible people until this got created, and then everything went to chaos after that. And after this is not the first. This is just the biggest time. This has happened many times before. It happened in France, happened in Germany. You have the crash and then you rebuild after it. It's what I do want to tell people. There are a lot of people who are worried this is Armageddon. This is the end of the world. We have 8 billion people and only 1 billion of them are going to survive. No, no, no. This is just a monetary panic. It's a big monetary panic, but it's just a monetary panic. Unless we go blowing up all the utility, if we blow up the electric plant is still there. So maybe the lights go off a few weeks, but they'll find the coal. They'll get the plant running again. They'll start charging people silver to pay for the electricity, and we'll get the electricity back on. Unless we if we blow up the plant, then yes, there's trouble. But as long as we don't blow everything up, the physical stuff is still there. We just need to reorganize it monetarily, and we will get through this onto the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. No need to be like
apocalyptic.
Apocalyptic, yeah, about this, absolutely. And it happened. Actually, it has happened repeatedly in history that these debt-based systems have collapsed. So yeah, we're just going to have our own generational collapse of the debt system, actually. If I remember correctly, the average lifetime of these fake currencies, I call them these government or official currencies, if I remember correctly, it's like 70 years. So the US dollar has, if this is correct, if I remember correctly, the US dollar has overstayed its welcome, right?
Yes. Now, so there's sort of a misconception that currencies must die after 70 years. That's not really true. Only fake currencies die after 70 years. As long as you honestly represent the dollar, as long as the dollar honestly represents gold or whatever currency, if it honestly represents gold, it will last forever. But there's always that temptation to steal. People can't help themselves. If you see a big pile of gold on the table, I'll just take a little coin. No one's going to notice anything. Can't help themselves. It's human nature.
Yes, exactly. I mean, if we live under the construct of the nation state, and in the nation state, you have a very small group of people who have all the power almost, and even if at the beginning you have honest people at the government, at some point or another, they will come some scammers, and they will create debt and try to give all that currency, that fake currency that they print to their friends, right? Because actually you mentioned it earlier in passing, but when these nation states or these governments have debt issues, it's too tempting to solve them by printing this fake money, regardless of how much gold is really backing it, right? So that's That's the origin of the massive money printing, which destroys the value of this currency, meaning each dollar, for instance, if you talk about dollars, if there is, for example, I'll take a small number, $100,000 in circulation in the economy. So each dollar has a certain value. But if we double that amount of dollars in circulation, because the central bank has printed 100,000 more dollars in the economy, so now we have $200,000. So we could say that prices should double because there's twice as many dollars as there is products and services in the economy. Is this more or less correct?
More or less. I mean, it depends on what people do with the dollars. If everyone takes those dollars and stuffs them under their mattress, then prices don't go up. But they do eventually. Yes, they do. They do. That is a correct statement. The problem. So here's a real problem with economics as an academic discipline, is that it's full of people that are trying to control other people. So when you think of, people come up with these terms like velocity of money, right? So the velocity of money is how quickly a currency changes hands. And maybe that's a useful metric. But here's the problem. There's always some guy sitting there saying, the world would be better off if people did that faster, or the world would be better off if people did that slower. So I, as God King, am going to change the velocity, do something to change the velocity of money to make people spend things faster or spend things slower. The way the world would work the best is if people made their own decisions without being influenced by academics and central bankers on should they spend their money or should they save their money, right? And the problem with the paper money, or the paper money, is that it's dishonest. So because of inflation, right, when they're printing more and more and more and more notes, I can't take this dollar and stuff it under my mattress. I have to find something useful to do with it. So what do people do? They invest in companies. And it's so bad now, people say, oh, do you know what a 401k is? Okay. So the American workers, they get their paycheck and they put a third of it in 500 different companies. They've never heard of any of these companies. And they've never met the person managing this investment for them. And they know who it is. And so, but they've given him a third of their life savings, all of their savings, and a third of their income, right? They give him a third of their income every month. And they say, please take this and invest it for me in these 500 companies I've never heard of. In the old days, when we were on a gold standard, what did people do? They took gold and they, put it in the ground. They buried it in their backyard. And then when they got old, they dug it up and they used that to keep them alive until they died, keep them fed until they passed on. So we have this enormous asset bubble that's been built up. It's just inflation. That's the scary part. It's just inflation. When it blows, and just like in 1929, the stock market goes, and all those people who thought they had all that wealth find out they have absolutely nothing. And all that purchasing power it doesn't disappear. It goes into real assets, which are particularly gold and silver, which is another reason that the greed motivator should also encourage your viewers to consider moving into gold and silver positions.
And I know that people like Mike Maloney, they make the distinction between money and currency. So for him, money is only gold or silver, whereas currency is this fake, almost monopoly game currency, which is printed to infinity, potentially, by whoever holds the printing machine. So this is a scam that you just clarified. This is a scam at the nation state level, at a nation state level. But there's also the gigantic scam, which is the U.S. empire and the U.S. dollar, right?
Yes.
You mentioned it in passing earlier. So can you explain how the U.S. dollar is a scam and how it has benefited immensely? And Charles de Gaulle used to talk about exorbitant privilege, I think he said.
Sure.
But he himself, he was doing exactly the same thing in Africa.
Yes.
Of course, it's always other people who are bad. So this exorbitant privilege of the U.S. Because it has managed to impose, maybe by default, the US dollar as the world reserve currency?
Sure. So it's actually very simple. The way the scam works is they're printing more and more and more and more notes, right? If those notes were confined to America, we would have hyperinflated a long time ago. They printed trillions of notes. So those dollars, and the people would notice it, right? But if the dollars leave our shores, if they go overseas, then they're not here. They're not in our country. Those dollars must leave and they must never come back. So what is the system that works? The way the system works, the dollars are created, they get shipped overseas, and imports come into America, and those dollars end up over there, and every other central bank bases their own currency on the dollars, which are given to them, and those dollars are theoretically notes for gold. So this all kind of trails back to the gold standard on top of it. And those other countries, but those other central banks like printing as well. So when they print too many notes, they need more dollars to back up those notes to say, hey, look, guys, don't worry. I know we printed a bunch, but don't worry. We have these dollars that just came in, and those dollars are great. Everything's good. Everything's fine. No worries at all, right? So it's a scam on top of the dollar scam. And the functional result of this is that so people think, oh, America's getting the great deal out of this. No, the American workers are not. The normal American people are getting screwed. It's the elites are doing great. But the normal American worker, their role is to drown in debt. They lost, all our factories are shut down. We sit around playing video games and having another pina colada and getting into massive drowning in debt. And every other country, their job is to slave away for fake money and send us junk, send us stuff like China, right? And the quality, because the system is dying, and because it's getting worse and worse and worse, the quality of the stuff coming in is cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and worse, right? That's why your bed, like my friend Rafi, he bought a bed recently, and he thought it said wood. Right? He wanted a full wood bed. The planks were wood. The sides were that sawdust glued together. It's like that sawdust stuff. So, he's like screwing it in, and the sawdust is like falling apart, and the bed, of course the bed's, it's not stable with that. You can't put a body in that kind of thing because it's not stable. So the quality of the goods are getting worse and worse because the people on the outside are trying to make do with less and less. But if they don't send America stuff, they stop getting dollars, and their currencies hyperinflate as well. So when this is why everything's connected. When the dollar hyperinflates, all other currencies are going to hyperinflate too. That is why this is a global hyperinflation that's going to hit. Now, where does the military come in? Well, there were a couple people. Let's pick some random names here. Oh, I don't know, Muammar Gaddafi, right? Muammar Gaddafi said, "Hey, I'll make a gold-backed currency." Oh, gee, what happened to him? And then, whoa, what's that guy? Oh, Saddam Hussein. Yeah. Now, these are not good people. But what does Saddam Hussein think? Oh, I'll sell oil for gold. Oh, gee, what happened to him? So the military is there just as an enforcement mechanism to absolutely make sure nobody thinks about using anything except dollars. But as you saw in Afghanistan and Iraq, the military machine is grinding itself to a halt. It's rusty. It's starting to fall apart because the money's fake. This all goes back to fake money. So I'm short-term distraught. Long-term, I'm very optimistic. The world's going to look much better on a gold standard. And there's no choice but to go back to the other issue is they're worried, oh, what's the next step? It's going to be worse. We're going to have CBDCs. We're going to have our overlords are going to watch everything we do and control every aspect of our lives. That's not going to happen. We're going to have chaos, a lot of chaos. But the only way to trade is to use honest money, because all the derivatives of money just floated away in the air. They're all worthless. And if you watch, you can see YouTube videos of Venezuela during the hyperinflation, because Venezuela just had hyperinflation too. What were they doing? They were taking gold and they were shaving it into little flakes. And then they would take those flakes and sprinkle them in a cup, and it was for a haircut. So the man weighed the scale, said, "Okay, that's enough," and then he came and cut your hair. So we're going back to honest money. There's no other choice for it. So once again, those who have honest money will profit very well. And I want to say this, they will also help humanity, because what humanity needs is money circulating. So the stackers, the people holding gold and silver, your role is to get that currency out as fast as possible to your neighbors, to your friends, to your family. Buy everything, buy the houses, buy the cars, buy the factories, buy the farms, buy it all. You'll get staggering amounts of assets, and you will help those people put food on their table, get the clothes on their back, get their factory started, so that we can get the new economy going.
Yeah, you made so many excellent points. For instance, the fact that the U.S. military is backing the U.S. dollar, it just tells you that maybe the U.S. dollar is the most potent weapon of the U.S. empire, right? It's particularly because it is insidious. Maybe. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so originally after World War II, people actually wanted the dollars, because they were sort of representing, they didn't really represent gold, but they kind of represented gold at that time. And they were better than the destroyed currencies of the destroyed nations after World War II. So people actually wanted it. But now America's like the mafia guy, hey, you want this, let me tell you. Like, but I don't want it. No, you want this dollars. And there's, it'd be a nice country you have here. It'd be a shame if something bad happened to this country. So take our dollars, just take it. That's the current situation. And look, I hate it. I have no control over it. It is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, another point you made, which is really excellent, and most people, I think, they intuitively notice it, but they don't understand where it comes from. But yeah, the fact that indeed the quality of goods and services has crashed, especially maybe in the last 10 years, I feel 10, 15
Yes.
years has completely crashed, and maybe even more since COVID. But it's been just a few years since COVID, so maybe we don't have enough. Enough perspective on that, but it's because indeed there's this massive money printing, but also I would like your opinion on that. Maybe it's also because a big chunk, a disproportionate chunk of this money which has been created goes to a very small number of people, right?
That's exactly, yes. That's called the
mega billionaires.
That's called the Cantillon effect. Exactly right. So the people standing closest to the money printer get all the benefit, and everybody else gets higher prices. Exactly right. So as prices get higher and higher and higher, you're a normal, let's say you're a normal person, you're a normal man, you have a wife, and you need, like I said, something like a bed for your son. So what do? You go online, you shop around for a bed for your son, you find the lowest price, and you buy that. How do they get to the lowest price? They make it out of crappy materials. Because you want a nice bed. You say, I would love a nice bed, but inflation's getting worse. And I need to, I have other things I need. I need food, I need clothes. We have other things we want to do. We want, maybe the car needs some fixing. So I can only give this many dollars to the bed. So the manufacturer of the bed says, well, I can't charge, the market needs me to charge this much, not this much for the bed. So to save costs, I have to make it out of worse materials. Now, what I want to, I'm sure your country has it too. My country, if you go back 100 years, you can see these gorgeous buildings. The furniture is beautiful. The artistic design is magnificent. That will come back. I absolutely promise. We're gonna, in the future, after this crashes, when you want a bed, you're going to go to a local man. You're not going to order from China. You're going to go to a local carpenter in Tunisia. You're going to say, I need a bed for my son. And he's going to give you a great bed for a fair price. And it's going to be hardwood. And you can leave it to your great grandchildren, because it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be like that again. It will happen. I absolutely promise. We just have to return to honest money. The fake money is doing all of this too. It's driving us all completely insane. When we return to honest money, it's like too big of a part. When you have a big party, you drink too much, and the next day you have a horrible hangover. It's going to be like that. We're going to have a bad hangover, but you take some aspirin, you sleep the day, you wake up the next day, and you're healthy again. You're fine. Just don't drink too much again. Learn your lesson.
Exactly. Learn your lesson. Absolutely. Yes, there's also something that I wanted to mention. This is the tyranny of capitalism, because we all hear. We see prices go up, right? But when we ask for higher wages or higher revenues or whatever, our clients, our employer, or whoever is paying us for our work, tells us, oh, no, we can't. We really can't. We don't have the money for that. But they always have the money for the shareholders. The shareholders, not only they need the same dividends on their shares from a year to the next, but actually they want more, right? So it's a form of tyranny, it seems to me, of capitalism, of shareholders, who most of the time don't work, really. So you have the people who actually work, who actually produce, who are paid less and less, whereas the privileged ones who don't work, they demand and they get more year after year. Isn't there also this element of like capitalist tyranny?
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends on how you want to define capitalism. If you, I would say the system we are in right now I would not call this capitalism. I would say the system we had maybe up until 1873 was probably capitalism in America. I can't speak to the rest of the world, but America was probably purely capitalist until about 1873, and then mostly capitalist until 1913. And then after 1913, we were captured by bankers. Our government was captured by an elite banking cartel, and we have the illusion of a democracy, illusion of a republic. We vote every year for a new guy. He's exactly the same as the old guy. Well, Trump's a little bit different, but before him is, the new guy is exactly the same as the old guy, and it doesn't matter. They're two guys exactly the same. What's the policy? Invade the Middle East, waste a bunch of money, cause a bunch of trouble around the world. So we can get into Trump now if you want, but I'll go into capitalism first. True free market capitalism demands honest money as a prerequisite. You must, if you are working for an honest wage, you will know what you are getting and you can live your life accordingly. If you're being paid in fake money, you start to go insane because the money is just not keeping up with the prices. And I saw a news article recently where they were comparing what people were paid back in the old days. So a telegraph operator was paid something like 70 ounces of gold a year. And if you do the math on that, that's $450,000. And telegraph operator is not that, it's a sophisticated job, but it's not a brain surgeon. It's, beep, 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 beep. That's all you had to do. You had to maintain the lines. I'm sure it's up. So, it's probably the equivalent of an IT job. And an IT job now is probably on a higher end is probably about $150,000 a year. So that difference right there, that's the theft. That $300,000, that's the theft that has occurred over this time period, right? And so even though he was paid, I think in dollar terms it was like $3,000, and I'm being paid a lot more than that, but the dollar value is so much less that he was many multiples wealthier than I am. And that's why he could afford, where, if you once again, if you look at the houses from that time, a working man in America in 1870 could get a custom house. And I don't mean a regular house. I mean a house if he was prosperous. I'm not saying any working slob could do this. If you're just drinking your money away, you work at a farm just shoveling horse manure, and then you go home and you go to the bar after work and drink it, you're not going to do well. If you apply yourself, you save and you rent, you purchase some land, you start a farm, you do well, right? A working man or an industry, or working in a factory or something, if you saved your money and applied yourself and got the promotion to manager, all that good stuff, a working man could get a custom house. And I'm talking a house where they carve the pillars and you get the wraparound porch and the windows are some stained glass on the windows. I mean, very, very, prosperous and custom. And now look at me, I'm a working man, and what do I have? I have a cube. I live in a cube. Now I do have a multiple level, I have a house. It has several cubes on it, but this house is not a custom house. It's not a Victorian design. It's a few cubes stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so if you don't rob people, people will absolutely prosper. I would not call this capitalism what we're in right now. This is a banking cartel destroying everyone's lives. So maybe if you call that capitalism, then we're just disagreeing on the definition of capitalism. But I think you and I both agree we should return to honest money and let people live their own lives and mind their own business, mind our own business.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just we call things differently, but absolutely, I totally agree with you on principle. And what I wanted to mention, because it was I think 1 or 2 weeks ago, there was this Wall Street Journal about how Elon Musk was trying to reproduce in mass. I don't know if you've read it or heard about it. So he's been paying for years. He's been paying like female influencers and some one of them is his colleague to carry his children, right? What he promised them is, so he's the richest man on earth. I don't like this expression richest, because I consider wealth to be something else than money. But unfortunately, in the language, we say richest this or richest that. But yeah, let's say he's the guy who has most units of dollars around the world. And you know how much he pays these women so they carry his children. He gives them, if I remember correctly, it's $10 or $15 million. And then I think it's $100,000 per month. So $10 or $15 million, like on the spot when they accept to be inseminated or whatever, and then $100,000 per month. So this is what this guy can afford, and he chooses like which women are going to carry his children, and he makes this offer to them. Many have been seduced by the offer, and yeah, so he just whereas almost everybody else is having a hard time paying their most basic bills and needs, right? So yeah, that's why I was talking about tyranny. I mean, it's an absolutely terrible system.
Well, it could be worse, right? We could be in this situation where he doesn't have to ask.
Yeah, exactly. Or don't mention
get worse than that. What I would say, when this thing blows up, the holders of cash and the holders of stocks and the holders of bonds are going to be the holders of absolutely nothing. So the holders of gold and silver will be the ones rebuilding what's left. So if Elon Musk doesn't have gold and silver, he's just going to be a normal guy again, worse than normal. He's going to be poor. So, it really comes down to, and this is demonstrably true. You can look at hyperinflations. What hyperinflations are, Ludwig von Mises wrote about this. Hyperinflations are a rush to real assets. They're a rejection of everything else is a promise for money, right? A promise for wealth. Stocks are a promise. If you invest in my company, you'll get more wealth later. Same thing with bonds. Loan me some money, I'll give you more back later. All these things are promises for wealth. A hyperinflation event is a rejection of the promises. It's saying, I don't want your promises. You need to give me something real. I don't want any more promises. So when that happens, this happened in 1929. The people who thought they were rich are suddenly jumping out of the windows and selling their cars. Terrible things happen to a lot of people who thought they were very, very wealthy. So yes, I agree. Will Elon Musk survive this? I don't know. It depends on how much gold and silver he has. I'm assuming they have some, but the theft will. So this is a little bit of a tangent, but it's okay. One of the side effects of all this inflation is that the companies have bloated themselves to enormous sizes. we're actually supposed to have much smaller companies. On a gold standard, when money actually has to change hands, then you can't grow credit to the enormous sizes you've grown them to. So Walmart, Target, Tesla's gone, Disney's gone. These companies are going to poof and disappear to the four winds. And we're going to have to go back to, when you want meat, you go to a butcher. There's going to be some guy who has a cow. He's going to kill that cow and chop it up, and you're going to go to him and you're going to buy the meat from him directly. The credit of these giant stores. So Walmart buys tomatoes by like 50 million lots. So they buy like 50 million tomatoes in one go. That's all going to go away. And by the way, the tomatoes, so to do this, here's how they do this. They put an order in for like 50 million tomatoes. Those tomatoes are picked green, hard. They're hard as rocks, and they're put on the truck, and then they're driven all around the world from these giant agribusinesses. And I saw a news article on this. That's why I know about this. The back door fell open, these tomatoes fell out, and they were bouncing on the road because they were so unripe. They were more like a ball than a tomato. They didn't splat. So these tomatoes get to the store and they ripen in the store, and they're not very healthy. They don't taste very good. All this stuff is a function of the enormous amounts of credit that has been generated that allows a company like Walmart to exist. And once again, like I said, when this blows, and it's going to blow soon, I don't know exactly how soon, but I think it will be I think Trump will be the endgame president. I think he will be the president of the collapse. But when this blows, we're talking about Walmart going out of business in 2 to 3 weeks. All of them shut down, empty stores. There's a lot of panic. There's panic in the streets. So,
yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, something else. I mean, talking about these gigantic companies. What many people don't understand around the world. I mean, there's this. I don't know if you realize. Probably you realize it. Around the world, there's this fascination with how the US accomplishes all these extraordinary things. I mean, these US companies, they do crazy stuff. They must be extremely talented and so on. But maybe at the end of the day, just because they can print a lot of money and they can put any amount of money in any endeavor and get there, right? What do you think?
So one of the things inflation does is distorts what people should be spending their time on. So it's very cool that SpaceX, we can launch these rockets into space. Very, very cool. We can put a car in space and have it float around. The question is, if we were on a gold standard, how expensive would that be? Because when you can print the money to do something, you can do some stupid things. Right? You can do some really stupid things, and just print more money. That's like Disney used to be the gold standard of movies, right? When you went to a Disney movie 50 years ago, you knew you didn't even have to look. You knew you were going to be entertained. You were going to get top quality animation. You were going to get a wonderful story, and it was just going to be it was going to be great. And you could take your whole family. You knew exactly what the brand was. And for the past 10 years, Disney has produced crap after crap after crap after crap. It's garbage. It all has that woke stuff in it where, they have transgender people. They always have to squeeze someone who's transgender or gay into the movie, and people stop going, and every movie is a bomb. They're losing hundreds of millions of dollars every time they make a movie, but they just keep doing it because the printer's on, the money printer's on. I'll just borrow some more. We'll make another one. Who cares? Who cares about that, right? So we'll Disney's going to go. Disney absolutely is going to go. Now, will some company named Disney exist? Probably. Somebody with gold will buy the Disney name and start a new cartoon company, and we'll have quality cartoons again. But the Disney as it currently exists, poof, gone, absolutely gone. The inflation, like I said, one of the factors of inflation is that it disguises the price signal. So people don't know, is this a good idea or a bad idea? And because there's so much money sloshing around, I told this analogy to Dunnigan Kaiser at Liberty and Finance. I said, Dunnigan, I'll tell you, Mehdi, pretend you're a venture capitalist. So and we're on a gold standard. So you have gold and I'm a tech entrepreneur. So I come to you, I say, Mehdi, I have this great idea for a website. We're going to call it hotneighbordaughter.com. So it's going to be this website where men can rate the physical attractiveness of their neighbors' daughters. Now, on a gold standard, you're going to say, Phil, that's a terrible idea. I'm going to be sued, and you're going to be chased through the streets by a mob of angry fathers. They're going to come and burn down your house. What are you thinking? No, no, I'm not funding this. I'm not paying for this. But on the inflation standard, right, when money is just sloshing around, there's so much money, and you have shareholders you need to report to, right? So your shareholders said, hey, Mehdi, you need to give us more money, right? You're not making enough dollars. So I come to you with this idea. You say, nah, I don't know. Let's try it. See if it works, right? So that's where these stupid ideas come from. That's why you end up with things like OnlyFans, right? And part of that's the inflation, right? So the men in this country and around the world are not able to make enough money to start a family and raise a family, to get the house, to attract the women. So the women are looking at the men. They're like, look at all these losers. They can't earn a decent wage to take care of me, but I need to make money myself. And they say, well, I'll go sell my body online. And it's terrible. And it's really gonna make things hard in the future, because the internet is forever, as they say. So I encourage anybody, don't go down that road. Just wait. We're gonna go back on the gold standard. You can keep your virtue, and you will be able to find a good man on the other side who will be paid in honest money.
Yes, excellent point. And I remember you also, I think you mentioned it also on the Liberty in Finance podcast or channel, which is a great channel. I recommend everyone goes there to continue their education on financial matters. You mentioned how this system actually privileges the guys who are closest to the money printer, I remember that, and it was an excellent point, and it made me understand this aspect which I didn't understand before.
To go back to Elon real quick, he is a very smart guy, but he's standing very close to the money printer, right? Because all his companies are government subsidized. Tesla gets all the electric car subsidies. SpaceX gets all the mostly direct government funding. All these companies are directly government subsidized. So he is standing very, he's a very smart guy. I'm not knocking his, technical brilliance or anything, but the reason he's the richest man is because he's standing right next to the money printer, and he's getting all that free government, Uncle Sugar money.
Right. Well, I'm not sure technically he's that brilliant, because he doesn't have any training in engineering, and he tends to take other people's accomplishments for himself. For example,
that may be.
Yeah, he introduces himself as the founder of Tesla, which is completely wrong, because he bought Tesla at some point from the two founders. I think he just when he I mean, I'm an engineer, so I can say if someone really understands what he's saying in technical matters. Trust me, he doesn't. Yeah, he's a very good pretender, and he knows how to trick people. Although recently, with all the substances he's been taking, it's more and more difficult to listen to him coherently. Speaking. Let's talk about your new president, Donald Trump. It seems to me. I mean, recently, just last week, I've read his niece's book, Mary Trump, who is she holds a PhD in clinical psychology, so she knows what she's talking about, and she's an insider of the Trump family. And what she says, in a nutshell, she says he's completely stupid. He doesn't know what he's doing. He was never accountable, really. He made only mistakes, but his father was there to give him hundreds of millions of dollars to cover for his mistakes. And he's all about, appearances and the
show,
smoke and mirrors. And he's a showman indeed. Yeah, absolutely. My question is, in terms of economic policy, I don't know if I should call it that, but let's call it that. It's in terms of economic policy, what he's doing, does it seem to make any sense to you?
Okay, so Trump's economic policy, the trouble with all of these people is that they don't understand that gold is money. They've been tricked like everybody else. So they're even if give him the best possible benefit that he is a legitimate reformer, he's trying to fix America. That's great. But he doesn't understand that the source of this is the Federal Reserve, and that gold is in fact the money, and that these notes for gold are inflationary nonsense. Because the correct what I would do if I was Trump, I would tell everybody, I'm sorry. We printed notes for 90 million tons of gold. We only have 8,300 tons. We must revalue. We have no choice. We have to revalue. We're going to do this, next week. In the meantime, go get as much gold and silver as you can. That's what I would do. Everything else beyond that is just kind of wasting time. However, remember what I said before, those dollars must leave our shores and they must never come back. Trump is putting up tariffs everywhere. What is that doing? That is stopping the dollars from leaving. So Trump is accelerating the end game. He's accelerating the crash. And for that, I'm because there's no avoiding this. We cannot avoid the crash. We must go through it. And the best way to go through it is to go through it as quickly as possible. So he's a bull in a china shop. He's destroying the system. But I want the system destroyed. Now, the problem is he's trying to save it. He thinks he's trying to save it. So he's sending out the wrong message. The message he's telling everybody, you're going to be so rich. The only problem you're going to have is counting all your money. That's his problem. He's the salesman. He's the consummate salesman. Can't help himself. You're going to be so great. Everything's going to be wonderful. That's the wrong message. You have to tell people we have a hard road to go through before we get to that point. So, is he is a reformer? Is he a good reformer? No, not particularly. But he's not. I mean, it could have been worse. Look, what was Harris's plan? She was going to blow up the Middle East some more, invade Iran, start more trouble. So at least we're not doing that.
Absolutely. Well, the bipartisan thing is also a scam. It's another type of scam.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they convince people that having two parties in competition would only work in the people's benefit.
The Republicans' job is to pretend. So that what Republican politicians do, the conservative politicians, they always harken back to the old days. They always say, "Oh, America was great when we were free and on a gold standard. We're gonna go back to that, and we're gonna restore American values of hard work and entrepreneurship, and we're gonna bring the jobs back." And then the second they get into power, it's like, oh, the Democrats are beating us up. What do we do? But it's a show. It's by design. They're not really bullied. They're getting paid. They're the like in boxing, right? One guy is paid to take the punch immediately and fall over. It's a show. That's a show. Now, yes. but here I don't think Trump is part of the show. I do think he is the wild card. The problem is he's being outsmarted. The bankers have him. He's chasing shadows. If he knew where the actual reform could go, I think he could maybe do it. But because he won't talk about the gold, right? They said, "Oh, we're gonna go audit Fort Knox." Where's the audit, Mehdi? Where is it? Exactly. We were promised. He said we're gonna go see the golds in Fort Knox. There's nobody's checking.
Well, honestly, from reading Mary Trump's book, I've understood a lot of things about Trump, and I think really I understand him now. The guy, his whole life, when he was faced with any difficulty, his strategy or his tactic, he's not capable of any strategy, but his tactic was to send conflicting messages. He says one thing and then the exact opposite.
Yeah, A/B testing. Yeah, A/B testing.
It's his own way of getting through any barriers or problems he meets, and so far it has served him, because he was what Mary Trump says is that he was institutionalized his whole life, meaning he was always surrounded and he never was accountable for his mistakes and actions. So that's why the guy is incapable of solving any problem, because he never did in his life, and he never was accountable, because we all learn, through mistakes, and we pay for it and we regret it and we correct ourselves. But he never did this. So that's why he sends all these conflicting messages, and some of the messages make sense, like auditing Fort Knox and going back, revaluing gold, and etc. But it's all part of his tactic of sending conflicting messages and trying to please this one and that one and the other one, in hope of maybe that the problem solves itself, as it does usually for him. So yeah,
I think his presidency is going to be regarded as a failure at the end of the day. Because there's nothing. I don't think, even if he was a brilliant man, there's nothing he can do to make. We owe 90 million tons of gold. We have 8,000. We maybe have 8,300 tons. So there's no. It doesn't matter how smart you are. You can't balance that book. So we must default. We must become very, and we're going to be very, very, very poor. I mean, we don't make anything here anymore. We don't make our clothes. So we're gonna have to start making clothes again. So look, he's probably gonna eat the blame on that one. Me personally, if Trump doesn't get us into another war, and if he manages to fire half the government before the collapse, I will consider that a success for what Trump could possibly have done.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I mean, Trump is unwittingly doing what we want to happen. You and me and everybody else who wants things to go back to the fundamental stuff, the real stuff, away from all this fakeness and imperialism and the hyperinflation, which will come at some point inevitably. We are probably not far away from the moment of reckoning, right?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because I also agree that it will probably happen in the next 4 or 3.5 years during Trump's presidency, because he's destroying everything at an incredible speed. I mean,
glorious.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's great. Yeah, absolutely, totally. I'm glad. Although some people are really hurting right now, but it's a necessary
pain. There's no avoiding it.
Exactly. It's terrible, but it's necessary. It's sad to say it this way. You mentioned how important it is for people to put their savings in gold and silver, or yes, gold or silver. So you said how gold maybe is more for like to store very large amounts of money, because gold is very expensive even at very small amounts, whereas silver is more to be used on more daily basis, and more like a smaller store of value, right? Yes. What kind of advice would you have? How should people proceed about getting this gold and silver? Because there's also the logistical yes, side of things, right? You cannot just store gold at home and somebody breaks in and then you suddenly yes, lost all your savings, right? So what kind of advice would you like to share with people?
Absolutely. So a lot of this depends on your income. So to the viewer, if you're not a person of substantial means, just stack a little bit of silver. You'll probably do just fine. If you're really poor, then you can stack copper. Just go get, and the copper can be in any shape. So you can get copper pans, copper pots, copper wire. The money is the element. So copper, silver, gold, doesn't matter what shape it's in. If you just have a little bit, if you have more money than that, if you're not really poor, if you have a little bit of money, just stack some silver. Doesn't have to be silver coins. You can get silver jewelry, or you can get silver teacup, whatever. That's not that important as well. And if you have a lot of money, I would say once you have enough silver where you're like, I got a little silver around it. I do recommend personally holding the silver. You don't have to hold the gold personally. I recommend personally holding the silver, because you need it. When this blows, you have to, if you want gasoline, you have to go to the gas station. You have to physically give him some silver. He's not going to take a note for silver. He's going to take silver. So that's what you want to physically have, some silver. Now, I'm actually against safes. I don't think what safes are is a target. Safes say, please rob me, right? So disperse. If you have silver, disperse it. Bury some in the ground. Maybe get a safe and put some silver in the safe. Keep some nearby, keep some far away, keep some hidden very deeply, and keep some in maybe in a shoe by the front door where they're never going to look, right? Just, you have a pair of shoes there, put a little silver in there. You never use them, right? They're just some shoes sitting by the front door. Just put some silver in there. The thief's never going to look at that, right? I'm just giving some ideas. The gold, So the gold is for, silver's for during the crash, gold is for after the crash. So eventually, no matter how bad it is, the central banks, hopefully are going to break up, but banks are going to issue new currency based on gold again. And then what do? You take your gold to a bank, you put your gold in that bank, and then you get certificates, you get money, you get dollars again. You get whatever the new dollar is or the new paper is, and then you can go use that paper to buy the stuff you want. And those will buy a lot. I'll get into that in a second. I'll get into the purchasing power in a second. But you can vault the gold. The gold is fine. There are people who say if you don't hold it, you don't own it. What I would say, now I'm a little bit different because I'm public, but what I would say is go on a YouTube channel like Liberty and Finance with 130,000 subscribers and announce that you like gold, and then see if you don't like vaulting. So I'm a little bit different because I'm public. I have to vault everything. I don't keep anything near me like that. In fact, even the silver, well, I'm not going to get too much into it, but I have enough silver to get to where I need to get more silver. So my house is unfortunately not a good target for would-be thieves. But if you're not public like me, you can keep stuff much closer to home. You can even store gold in home. Do not talk about it. That's very important. Don't go telling all your friends and neighbors, "Oh yeah, I got these gold coins. They're so nice." Put them away very safely, securely. Don't talk about them. Same with the silver. And then when the end game hits, you go out and you spend the gold, you spend the silver, and then after the end game, once the currencies get reestablished, you take your gold, turn it back into notes, and then you go you take those notes and you go start companies, you go start factories, start farms, or you invest in other people. You don't have to do it yourself. You could go invest in other people who are doing it. And the holders of this, Mehdi, the holders of money during and after the end game are going to be unbelievably wealthy people, even a little bit. I'm talking 100 ounces of silver, maybe 30 ounces of gold. If you have 100 ounces of silver and 30 ounces of gold, you're probably going to be in the top 5% of people on Earth. So that's very accessible to a middle-class person. You can get that much, right? So if you have less, it's okay. It's okay if you have less. Just focus on the silver. But we're talking about being able, like when credit dies, so when all those stocks and bonds fail, all that purchasing power doesn't poof disappear. It gets jammed into money. And so if you look at Weimar, Germany, 100 ounces of silver would buy a mansion in Berlin with a view of the river. So there were American students coming to Berlin, and they would buy, their parents would give them spending money, and they would buy a mansion on the riverfront with it. That will happen everywhere. It'll happen where you are. It'll happen where I am. And you absolutely should, we will never see this again. This is a once in a lifetime event. So you should absolutely take advantage of that. Buy the mansion, buy the, it should be the comparable thing for, I don't know what it's like in Tunisia, but the comparable thing for America would be what do you call it? A top floor penthouse, a penthouse apartment in Manhattan with a view of Central Park. You could probably get for 100 ounces of silver. Now, there's a reason for this. Manhattan people are going to be like, why would you want to live in Manhattan? Manhattan's going to be on fire, right? It's going to look like a war zone, but that's only temporary. These things are just temporary. So you buy it during the crisis when everyone thinks you're an idiot. They're like, why would you buy that building, right? And then after the crisis, then you start renting that out, or you live in that yourself, right? And so here's some other metrics for you. 25 ounces of gold should buy a city block, including all the buildings, a downtown city block. So you can own downtown sections of a city, cities, entire sections of a downtown city. And once again, it's going to be chaos, and those buildings might be on fire when you buy them, but the chaos will pass. Even if you just own the land, it's fine. You're owning downtown real estate. Somebody will buy that from you and rebuild on it. So it's worth it. It's worth it to take advantage of this and go and buy what you can at that time. And we are the next round of capitalists, of true capitalists, not slimy banking cartel crony capitalists. We are the next round of true capitalists that can rebuild the future in a much brighter image.
Yeah, great advice. There's something else regarding gold and silver. because there's the paper versions of gold and silver, and so many people I know in the US, so many people, a vast majority probably, who have invested in gold and silver, they bought the paper version. So this is also a promise, like the notes, like the bill.
That's a scam,
right?
Total scam.
Gigantic scam. And as from what I've heard, regarding the paper gold, I mean, it's weird to say it like that, right? The paper gold is, I mean, there's
hundreds of notes,
yeah, 250 times more paper gold than real gold, meaning when all these people will want to redeem their notes, which are promises, for real gold, which is the real thing, not everybody is going to get real gold.
I promise you, dear viewer, you are not going to get. It's not going to be you. There's people farther up the food chain than you.
Yeah,
it's going to be the elites. The elites are going to get it first. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get that gold. You can get gold right now, absolutely, and you should. But you're not going to get that ETF gold. You are not going to get it. Stay far away from that. That is a time bomb.
Yeah, exactly. So this, I mean, when the scam will come to light and everybody will understand it, they will all rush to buy physical gold, and then the price of gold will probably go vertical, right? But for silver, from what I've heard, it's even worse. For silver, there's around 400 times more paper silver than actual physical silver. So when the scam comes to light for silver, it will go even more
vertical,
wild,
absolutely.
Crazy. Yeah. So do you agree with this premise?
Yes, this is why they do this. Silver, like I said, silver is the people's money. Anyone can save in silver. So when they print those physical silver paper, when they print the paper silver, what they're doing is they're increasing the supply of silver and they're lowering the price, because people say, wow, there's 400 times more silver than I thought there was. So that makes the price go down. But that's fake. The silver's not really there. And when people all demand the redemption, gold is going to do this. Silver's going to do this. It's just going to, one day you wake up and you can see graphs. This happened twice before. So if you look at Google silver price over time, it happened once in 1979 and happened once in 2008. Silver was just merrily, happily going the straight line, then boop, straight up. And that's a panic, because people can't get their hands on gold. So they rush to the next best thing, which is silver.
Right. Let's talk also about CBDCs. So this is more the dystopian side of things, right? So CBDCs, they are these. So it's even more fake than paper, right? Because it's electronic. So they push the concept even further. So it's electronic money, right? And the idea is that they call it programmable money. Meaning it is money which the state will be able to control at a level never seen before in history. Meaning they could very well say, "Oh, Phil is saying stuff that we really don't like. It's subversive,
no meat this week.
Blah blah blah." Yeah. So from now on, Phil, you should know that you cannot spend more than $5 a day for anything, for whatever, or you cannot spend more than $3 on food and $2 on gas. So they can really control how much you spend and what you spend it for. So this is CBDCs. It's not science fiction. They are actually testing. Many countries around the world are working on this, and they are testing their systems as we speak. So this is not science fiction. So yeah. What do you think about this, Phil? Do you think we could get there? What will it mean? Will it mean like a totalitarian? Because it's not just dictatorial, or this is the level of totalitarian regime. Do you think it could happen?
If it happens, it will happen before the crash. It will not happen after the crash, because the CBDCs are defined. And what they're going to do is, for example, with the dollar, they will say, okay, we're going to take these dollars at 1-to-1. We have a new CBDC. So whatever your old dollar was, turn that into the bank, and the bank will credit your account 1 CBDC dollar, and then we'll move on from there. But the problem is when the dollar hyperinflates and becomes worthless, the CBDC will also become worthless as well. There's no way to save the value of the dollar with the CBDC, and we have to return to a gold standard. Now, on a gold standard, could it work? On the other side. So let me ask you this, Mehdi. If you're a butcher, let's say you're a butcher and I'm a customer and I want to buy some meat, and I come and I show you my CBDC card of gold-backed money, and the CBDC goes beep 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 beep. Phil spoke against the government last week, so no meat for him. But you still have meat on your shelf, and I'm hungry. So I say, you know what, Mehdi? I have this silver. I have this little bit of silver here. I'm gonna offer that for you. And you say, sure, why not? It's better than nothing. And not to mention, do you want the CBDC? Because let's say you get the CBDC and now you want to go have a drink and you go to the bar and beep 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 beep. You had a drink last Tuesday, so you cannot have any beer today. You don't want this stuff either. Nobody wants this. Excuse my language. Nobody wants this bad. Nobody wants this junk, right? So the market has a say too. People will avoid it, and if it's gold backed, then it's redeemable in gold. So you should be able to go to the bank and say, here's my CBDC. I want the gold directly because I don't want to use this junk. And if it doesn't, then it'll be worthless. If it's, a currency that's not redeemable for anything is a worthless currency. So no, I'm not afraid of CBDCs. I'm not worried about them. The future is not going to be the techno dystopia. The future is going to be much more close to chaos, very chaotic, hopefully brief, but chaos is in the near future.
Well, let's hope you're right. It was really a great. I think it was a masterclass that you gave us, and you're a great educator. I'm really grateful to you for sharing all your wealth of knowledge and your insights. And it's important also to acknowledge that people like you who expose the system, all the fake aspects and dangerous aspects of the system, they could be targeted. So it's not innocent, right? And not just by thieves who see your house as a target, potential target. But we understand that there's nothing interesting at your house. Obviously, you have taken steps to.
I had to. I have to.
Of course, absolutely. Just because you said the French word earlier, you reminded me of something. You know how they call currency in French.
Argent.
Exactly. You know what means argent?
Silver.
Silver, exactly. So
you know what they call it in Argentina? Plata. Plata is silver too.
Plata. Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's because it's stayed in the language. It's because at some point that's what they used, right?
Do you know where the word dollar comes from?
No.
There was a German kingdom where they had a silver coin called a Tolar.
Ah. Okay.
So that's silver too. And the British pound, the pound sterling, pound sterling was a pound of silver, but not pound, but it was a unit of silver.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Every word you've ever heard of for money has its root in silver, not gold, actually.
Not gold.
Silver is primordial money.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like you said earlier, silver is more for like everyday
retail.
Retail stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Phil, for all your insights. So people can follow you. You have a channel. I think it's on Rumble, right?
Yes, Rumble and YouTube. I'm the Bitter Draught. One word, the Bitter Draught, and it's the old spelling of draft, Draught.
People can also follow you. Sometimes you appear on the channel Liberty and Finance, which again is a great channel for education regarding finance. I watch it almost all the time. So people should also follow that channel and see you there. Thank you so much, Phil. Looking forward to talking to you in the future if something new pops up, so you can share your insights with us.
All right, take care, Betty.